Hello everyone and welcome to OPJ Hub. I'm so excited today and I know you're also very excited. So don't forget to share this video to your loved ones or friends. So we all learn about what we're going to discuss today. Today's discussion is going to be very interesting. So share this video to your loved ones or friends and let them join this live. I'm trying to adjust my lights today so I don't get. I believe you can see my shadow. Yeah. Trying to sit so you can see the shadow. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about something very important and I know you're going to enjoy it. So share this video to your loved ones and friends. Share this video to your loved ones and friends for me. So, Wakye Eguho. I'm going to talk about something very, very interesting. If you know someone who is dating or about to or is about to get married, share this video to that person. Share. So I'm going to discuss very important stuff and I know you're going to enjoy every bit of this. So let's begin. Now, this what I'm going to show you is not something that usually dating is when we are not just finding during dating, that's when people want to find if they can stay with this person for the rest of their life. They ask questions, you ask questions, sometimes some very, very unnecessary questions. But anyway, those questions help you to know the person better. So let me increase my music some more. Those questions actually help you to know the person better. But some of the questions there are like, what is your what's your favorite food? Anyway, it's a good question, but favorite food, there are some people who actually don't have favorite food anyway. They eat all weather, they like everything. So when you ask us your favorite food, probably maybe in the course of the marriage you want to prepare such a food for the person, because you know of his favorite food. Yeah, questions people you sometimes ask: what music do you listen to? I think this is one a very important question people need to know: the kind of music you listen to. Where do you, because sometimes a lot of people draw inspirations from the music they listen to. So let's say if the person is a Christian, he wants to listen to spiritual songs and gospel songs because most of those are based on the word of God. All right. So basically that's what we are going to talk about. Just a minute. I'll be there very soon. Yeah, so basically that's what I'm talking about. Another very important thing you need to, so these are questions you need to ask about the person. Okay, so you get to know the person very well. But then again, there are very important questions I think you should ask. Very, very important, in as much as you're asking about the kind of food they eat, the music they listen to, the kind of things, 5 years from now, where they want to see themselves, and all those very important questions. I think you also need to ask about these questions. I'm going to list them, and it will help you know the person better in terms of their health. All right, exactly. So I'm going to list these very important questions. I think you should start asking the person, depending on the level at which you guys are dating or you're already in the dating mode. That will help you know whether you should quit or you can, I mean, not necessarily judge the person based on the health status of the person, but then you can kind of accommodate or reconsider your decisions, or kind of help support your partner. So that's what I'm going to mention to you. So don't forget to share this video to your loved ones and friends. All right, so let's start with the first question. I think you should ask your partner. Now, the first question I think you should ask your partner is very simple, okay? And I know this question may sound sometimes like trying to find out from the person, is it like you are judgmental or something? No, no, no. But the first question you need to ask, and disclaimer, this question should not be at the very first time you meet the person, where you are trying to know the person and then you ask this very first question. It will sound weird, you know. So probably maybe after a while, that's when this first question can come in. So I want to mention the first question you need to ask your partner. The first question you can ask is, instead of you asking, are you HIV positive? Do you see it? If someone asks, are you HIV positive? It does not sound best. The person can take an offense from that. But then when you ask question like, when last did you test for HIV? You see this kind of question, the person, okay, oh, I've not even tested before, or I can't really remember the last time I got checked, or I don't think it's something I've ever tried to. So this question that you ask the person brings in room for your partner to be able to speak. Oh yes, I did, or I don't. But when you go ahead to ask, are you HIV positive? It just shows that why you are trying to. You make the person feel very uncomfortable and stuff. So, and also when you ask, are you HIV positive? It kind of paints the room of accusation, because if it's yes, the partner may feel like, okay, you want to accuse him or her of this. So but when you ask, when last did you check your HIV status, it's kind of open the conversation for you guys to discuss about and in that question helps in responsible dating, because once you also know the partner's status, okay, some people will have to disclose their status to you, probably because they are the level. And as I said, it depends on the level of commitment you guys have put into the relationship for a while. Then the person will open up to tell you about it. Other than that, you could equally say, oh no, he's fine, he's negative or something like, it's not reactive. Do you get it? So that's one of the very important questions you need to ask. And if the person says, oh, I don't mind, going together with you to get tested, that's a plus to both of you. It strengthens your relationship. It makes the relationship kind of responsible. And besides, if you get there and your partner is positive, it also makes you have an informed way on how to go about it. Because once your partner is positive, it's not an opportunity for you to quit, but rather maybe an opportunity for you to think through it on how to go about in terms of your future plans, like in terms of when children are supposed to be birthed from this relationship. Because once you know your right status or your partner's status, there are some medications the partner can be on and can even get pregnant, that even a child will not be transmitted to the child. Do you get it? So basically, that is the few things I'm talking about. All right, let's look at the next very important thing that you need to ask. So anytime you want to ask about this question, feel free, create the atmosphere where the partner can share with you why he or she thinks he wants to be ready to disclose that to you. All right, so I believe you have learned something. This is a very important question you need to ask. I know it may sound weird, that's what I said. It shouldn't be the very first question you should ask your partner when you are dating. Probably you can still go about asking your your favorite food, the kind of things you do, and other stuff. But then that can also be one of the very important stuff. Now, let's look at the next question that I think is going to be very important for you to ask. Okay, the second question that is going to be very important for you to ask. All right, let's see what I have here. Now, since I said HIV, knowing your status actually is good. Now, the second question I think you need to ask your partner is, have you been tested for STI? This question also looks some way. Why are you asking your partner, have you been tested for STI? Now, STI are what we call sexually transmitted infections. I do not call them diseases, I call them infection. Now, you only get these diseases or these infections through sexual intercourse. All right, and such of those infections are the human immune virus, okay, the HIV, the gonorrhea, the syphilis, and chlamydia. Another very important one, which is hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is even like 100 times more infectious than HIV, because HIV is usually through sexual intercourse. That's where you get the HIV. But for hepatitis B, even with body fluid, you can get hepatitis B. So you see that. So you just want to be sure if the person has this. So you want to ask, when recently or have you been tested for this? For all you know, especially like hepatitis B, the person may be having it and is not aware. And with the hepatitis B, even though it's sexually transmitted or from bodily fluid, long-standing hepatitis B infection can cause the liver to be impaired. All right, so the liver can become damaged because of a long-standing untreated hepatitis infection. So you want to ask, oh, have you heard about hepatitis B? Have you vaccinated? You know, these kind of questions help because you're going to stay with the person right throughout your life. You're going to have bodily contact with the person right throughout your life, and it's best you get both of you get vaccinated from hepatitis B. Do you get it? Aha. So I believe you have learned something very important today. And some infections obviously may not show symptoms earlier on, like gonorrhea, syphilis. They may not show symptoms earlier. So someone will say, is it best for me to tell my partner? Is it best for me to tell my partner that I have gonorrhea? But I think it's better you tell your partners. And this kind of very sensitive information, it depends on your level of commitment in the relationship, because you can't meet the person you are dating today, tomorrow, and says, I have gonorrhea. It sounds weird. It sounds like it sends a message to your partner that you're not someone who is very um, um, secretive, or you can keep communication between both of you very private. Do you understand? So maybe in the course of the dating, you can disclose that to the person, especially if it's a female, because not only will you be infected with the disease, if you get pregnant, these infections can have effect on the baby, okay, in the womb or during birth. So some people will not want to tell their partner. So the best thing you can do is get yourself tested first. And if you are, start your treatment as soon as possible. Probably with maybe gonorrhea, syphilis, and stuff, you can cure it quite earlier. You can get yourself tested and treated accurately, so you don't have the infection no longer with you. But for conditions like hepatitis B and HIV, you may live with drugs throughout your life. Okay, the drugs will help suppress the infection ongoing. But then in that case, since you're going to live with your partner for the rest of your life, and he or she needs to know that you are actually on some medications, like some antiretroviral medications, on some antiviral medications, then your partner needs to be aware, so that once he sees you in the room, maybe taking some tablet and swallowing with water, he or she will not become so paranoid or suspicious or kind of, yeah. So you get the reason why you need to ask this. You need to tell your partner this very important, or ask your partner this very important question. Yeah. Now let's look at the next one, which is the the third one, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Okay, great. It's the same thing. It's the same. I'm going to give you 10, 10, 10, 10. But this third one is also in line with the first two that I've mentioned, which I said um, hepatitis B vaccine. So the fact that the person has disclosed hepatitis B to you that is free from hepatitis B infection, you also want to know, have you been vaccinated? Right? The vaccination is free. It depends, but some facilities sells it up, and there are dosages you take. I think you take the first shot, and then in 3 months you take the next one, then in 6 months you take, then in a year or something. There's a protocol around it that you take. So make sure you complete the vaccination schedule, because when you take today and then you don't complete your schedules in the appropriate time frame, you stand the risk of getting infected anyway. Okay, so make sure you get to your hospitals, your health professionals to, and tell them, probably go to the public health unit and say you want to get vaccinated for hepatitis B infection. So one of the things they will ask you to do is do a hepatitis B infection, test to be sure you don't have the infection already before they are giving you the antiviral medications. So that's one of the things that will go in. Now, number 4. The fourth question I would like you to ask your partner is this: do you have any medical condition that I need to know of? Any medical condition, especially if it's a long standing medical condition, you need to let your partner know about this as soon as possible. Guys, this is when you are dating into marriage, because in marriage you are going to live with this person who is having these conditions, and it's, you don't have to use this condition the person having to discriminate the person, all right, but rather it helps you to prepare for marriage, because marriage is a very long process, a long journey. So if you know that this person you are going to marry or you are dating with, it helps you have an informed choice, kind of an informed partnership, kind of informed preparedness to live with this person. Okay, so it's not an opportunity for you to discriminate the person that is living with epilepsy or is having some, let's say, is living with sickle cell disease, and you know that he is a sickle cell person, but you still want to. So disclose sometimes. That's what I'm saying, that it depends on the level of commitment with the person. You can disclose with the person. Things like sickle cell, at least you should make it known to your partner as soon as possible. Obviously, maybe he may be seeing some signs and symptoms, or maybe there'll be some episodes he may have got to know of, hear of, maybe through family or friends, about your condition. But I think it would be best you personally tell your partner about it. And I believe when you tell your partner personally about it, it kind of um, 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 gives you guys a responsible um, environment where you can feel safe, all right, and your partner can also be, even as it feels safe, he's prepared that even in the course of any situation, he can be there to be readily available. Your difficulties, assuming your partner is asthmatic, your partner even helps you to sometimes know your triggers, so he can sometimes remind you, oh Charlie, so it helps when you do some of these conditions you are living with your partner, to your partner, right? So let's say, as a typical example I'm making is epilepsy. The partner knows, oh, my wife or my soon-to-be wife or husband is actually living with epilepsy. So in planning for your vacation, he will not take you to beaches, or even if he takes you to beach, you will not necessarily swim to the far parts of the sea, rather maybe at the shores, just because of safety, because at any point in time, you can have a trigger and then you can have your seizure. Once your partner also knows that you have these conditions, he can also check up on you in terms of your medication, your compliance on medication. So, example, still using epilepsy or seizure disorder, It will remind you to still keep on taking your medications. If you're hypertensive, maybe lifestyle modification. Your partner can help you. You can be jogging together. Your partner can help you to avoid eating junk foods. All these things can have a role to play. But so it's best not to hide it from your partner, especially if you guys have already agreed on to take on the lifelong journey. So this is the fourth question I think you need to ask your partner as soon as possible. Now I'm going to show you the fifth question you need to ask your partner. Now this is also very important. The fifth question is, have you had any mental health challenge? Now, this one is often neglected. People don't really want to know about their partner, but you need to know, have you ever had any mental health challenge? When? Was it recently? What happened? You need to share that with your partner, or you need to ask your partner for him or her to share it with you. Because sometimes your partner may have had an episode of anxiety, depression, may have been dealing with some trauma and other stuff, and you're not so aware of. All right, and in so doing, there may be some bit of misunderstanding that you and your partner may be having, but the root cause was because of an anxiety or a depression episode that he has had, or probably your partner may also have a recurrence of depression. So it gives you a picture of how well the mental health of your partner is, so you can be readily available to kind of give an assistant help. For mental health is usually one of the things in this part of our world we don't really take much. We don't really pay much attention to. We are not so concerned about. But I think one of the best person you can share your mental health, stuff with is your partner, because sometimes you become overwhelmed and you need someone to be there, and also, so I believe that's one of the questions you need to ask. When last did you have, maybe probably the person's having a suicidal ideation? It helps you to know your partner better, and or for your partner is also having what we call schizophrenia. So you are able to help your partner through this period of episodes when he has the mania episode and all those kind of stuff. You see, so I think one of the things a lot of people ignore to ask is about their mental health of their partner. All right. Once you know that, oh, my partner easily gets mindset, how to approach giving, kind of, a whole lot goes into it. I know, and I know you guys really understand what I'm trying to say. All right. So let's look at the question you need to ask yourself or ask your partner as well. So the sixth question is going to be, what is your relationship with alcohol and smoking and drugs? The relationship with alcohol, smoking and drugs. So one of the things you need to ask the partner, all right, you want to find out from your partner if his habits and some addictions of alcohol, smoking can affect the relationship, can affect the quality of the relationship. So you want to ask your partner, what level of attachment is he with some of these recreational drugs, smoking and alcohol? Once you have that, it also helps you because most of this alcohol, smoking has long-term effects on the body, especially the kidneys, the liver and the heart. So it also gives you a picture of how, because if you are planning to live long with this partner and the partner is a chronic smoker, chronic alcoholic, it gives you a picture that, hey, I'm going to marry this person, but then what about in 5 years? If the person begins to develop chronic liver disease or develop some severe cancer or something, will I be readily there to give that support and help to this person? So you see, these are questions you need to ask, and especially if she's a lady and she's smoking, she's taking alcohol, and she gets pregnant and she's not even aware of, It can affect the unborn baby in the womb. Do you see that? So those are the questions I think you need to ask your partner. So we have mentioned four things, six things already. The first thing I mentioned, if you're with me, is that you ask your partner when last did he got his HIV test done. Another thing I think I said was, have you been tested for STIs? Okay, have you been tested for STIs? And the third question I asked, have you received hepatitis B vaccine? And the fourth question I asked was the mental health. All right, so your mental health. Then the fifth one I asked was, oh, can you remind me the fifth one? You can drop it in the comment section. Yeah, the fifth one. What their relationship with smoking and alcohol and recreational drugs. All right, let's look at the sixth one. This is what people usually know. Okay, that is your genotype. So I'm writing it down. Your genotype. Now this is where it becomes even more interesting because, as I said, it's not just about you loving your partner loving you more, but then also one of the byproducts of your marriage, or it's having children. Okay, and you don't want to have children where the children becomes a burden to you. Okay, the holy book says that children are blessings from God. All right, so you don't want to have children where these children become burden to you, especially, let's say, sickle cell. I stand to sympathize with people who are living with sickle cell. However, some parents become over precious from these children living in sickle cell is unbearable. So what I want you to do in your dating cell, you know the genotype of your partner, because if your partner is AS and you are EE, you are good to go, but you have a probability that one of your child will be what? AS. Okay, so let's just form a little table. I think I've made a video where I showed the genotype in details, but then if I haven't, I'll try and give a rough sketch here for you to see. So let's say your partner is AA and then you are AA. What do you think will happen when you have a child? So we have what we call the probability. It is not that certain your children are all going to be AA or AS or SS, but it gives a probability. So let's say you are AA. Assuming you are AA, all right, your partner is also AA. All your children are also going to be AA because your wife will bring one, you also bring one AA, then you form AA, and then everyone be AA. If your partner is AS and you are also AS, you have a 25% chance. Now, this 25% chance does not mean that when you give birth to all your children, one of the child will become sickle cell. No, it means that every pregnancy that you are actually having, you have a 25% chance that sickle cell. So that 25%, meaning your first pregnancy can be that 25%, and you can give birth to a child with sickle cell. Your second pregnancy can still be that 25%. You give a second child still living with sickle cell. You may say, oh, I still want to give birth. You give birth to a third child who still may be having sickle cell. So do you see? So the fact that you are living with AS and your partner is AS does not guarantee that all your children are going to be AAAA. It can happen that all of them are going to be AS. If you have 5 children, all of them are going to be. But then again, it can also be that all your 5 children are all going to be SSSS, and that becomes very, very tiresome. If one child living with sickle cell can become very like a burden to the parents, I think you need to know is your resource. Okay, so usually the genotypes you have some E plus B, those kind of stuff. So that's the plus is a resource. It's really important because especially if the lady may have had an abortion before, okay, and the person he had an abortion with, or the supposed partner previous, had a resource positive, like let's say it was O positive and the woman was O negative or something, and then the body now sees the first child, because the first child, the body now developed a new baby, and then the father has a antigen resource antigen. The body develops kind of an antibody against that resource antigen. So the first baby usually may be safe. Okay, so let's say he has a first partner, they had a baby, probably the baby got aborted or something, a child, or they even gave it to the baby, and the baby, but the woman now, the bodies develop antibodies against the resource antigen. Now let's say he left this husband or this partner and then got a new partner, and the new partner is also resource positive. Now, because the woman body has already find out that anytime a resource positive comes into our body, let's attack it. It's a foreign antigen. In a second pregnancy with the second partner, the body begins to fight that particular antigen, and then eventually cause miscarriages and cause stillbirth and other stuff. So the person may not understand why is that anytime she carries pregnancy, the baby, she loses the baby. No, she does not necessarily lose the baby because of any sin she has committed, but it's because of the previous history of abortion or previous history of having a baby with someone carrying a resource antigen. Do you get the picture? So usually the first child is spared, but subsequent children become very unlikely for them to grow. So they can have uh, the body of this woman fighting against that particular baby in the womb. All right. So once you know that you are, especially to the men, if you know you are, let's say, O positive, A positive, B positive, you are those positive people, make sure as always, anytime you are about to have babies with your wife or a partner, let your health professionals know about it. Okay, it's for the health good of your baby and good for the health of your partner. Do you get it? So I think I've said quite something about this for you to understand that. Right, are we good? Don't forget to share this video. I look forward to seeing you for a great time tomorrow as well. So I've mentioned how many have I mentioned so far? Remind me. If I've mentioned 5, I'm going to end it there. Or I should add more to it. Okay, I will add more to it, don't worry. So consider testing, and it should be done properly in reliable laboratory. Okay, so don't let your partner come and tell that it's EE. Meanwhile, it was done at unreliable laboratory, and then you end up that your partner is actually SS, and then you may end up also having. So as the 7th question is, what medications do you take? So my network is trying to reconnect, so I'm trying. Okay, good, it has reconnected now. So you want to know, number 7, medications that he's taking. Why do you think it's important? Yes, because sometimes your partner may be allergic to some medications and you are not even aware, and then the unfortunate happens. So it's best to tell your partner some of the medications you take. Maybe you are hypertensive, you take some hypertensive medications. You are diabetic, you take this. So let your partner know your carrying medications you are taking. Sometimes it may be good for you to share with them, but at least you have to let them know there's a need for them to, help you. They will be there readily to help you with compliance. Are you with me? All right, this is my network is it's not really stable, but we'll find our way to it. All right. Okay. Sure. So let's go to the eighth one. Eighth thing that we need to know about this. I think we have done that one already, right? I think the eighth thing you need to also ask your partner and contraceptions. So you also sex. So you want to make an informed view of the person because most of the session can come be introduced into the marriage and then the person will get it in the marriage. So you want to know the person's view when it comes to this. The person's view on condoms because you know sexually transmitted disease transmitted. Okay, so and we know that condoms, the use of condom has a role to play in um, preventing you get it. So when uh, your partner says no condom, you will be mindful because you know what the risk that is involved in not using a condom in sexual activity. That is, so these are some of the questions you need to ask your partner. I think I've shared some few of them. So in view of this, thank you so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate